Hi, I'm Peggy Kelly, and this is Good Morning Santa Paula. It's Thursday, February 3rd, and my guest today is Mayor Jenny Crosswhite, who's just started her second mayoralship, which I can't believe I was even able to say, in December, and we're really pleased to have her on today. This is the first time we've had her on since she's become the mayor, and we've got a lot to talk about. So happy to see Jenny. And I might add, she was first elected to the city council in 2014 and was reelected in 2018. And I'll maybe have to ask her if she's going to run again. But other than that, and this is her second term as mayor. So nice, great to have you, Jenny. Nice seeing you.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And mayor this year, that's a lot on your plate. So do you have any particular goals or ideas or anything you'd like to implement or continue, or, you know, what do you see the future as?
You know, I think one of the big things is always trying to make sure that the council's strategic plan and goals continue. So that's, you know, obviously the major thing. Those are items that all of the council has agreed on. But in addition to that, you know, one of the things that I really want to make sure hopefully happens before the end of the year is that we get started on the Harvard Boulevard paving project. I know that that's something that I've heard a lot about, that the public is really interested in seeing happen, and so I just want everybody to know that we are working on the funding for that, and we're working on getting a little bit of a loan so that we can not only start the Harvard project, which is going to involve redoing the sewer and the water infrastructure that's under Harvard, but also then keep the rest of the pavement management project going. If we didn't get that extra little bit of funding, we were only going to be able to start and work on Harvard, but then that meant that the rest of our streets were going to get neglected. And so we're looking at getting about $3 million in funding that will then allow us to keep that 5-year pavement management project moving at the same time.
Yeah, because streets are important, and that's the one thing, you know, people do notice a lot is the streets, especially in their neighborhoods, you know, and remind people too, though, that, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize they can complain, they can file a complaint or ask to have potholes filled on their street. If they have some really bad potholes, they can call the city, and the city will come out and at least plug those potholes till they get around to redoing their street.
Yes, and there is, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but there is a Pothole Hotline. Folks can also contact the Public Works Department directly and let them know. And coming soon, probably, we may be about a year out before it's totally implemented, but there will be, the city is going to get an asset management system, and as part of that system there will be a resident portal, and that portal will allow the residents to report a pothole or graffiti or any other issue that they might be having. And then one of the nice things is it'll actually then tell you when you report it if someone else has already reported it. That's and then you'll have the opportunity to be able to get a notification back once the issue has been resolved.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, because, you know, you can report things sometimes online and you don't really know what happens thereafter. I think that's great. And of course, people will still be able to call City Hall if they're, you know, if they would prefer to talk to somebody in person. And I think that you say that they're going to get the telephone system upgraded or straightened out or whatever.
That's one of the things I hear about the most is the issue with the phone system. I've had the issue myself when I've tried to call people and got stuck in the phone tree and ended up at people's numbers that it's so-and-so's, you know, voicemail, but so-and-so isn't at the city anymore. So I get it. I get the frustration.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the whole phone system actually needs upgrading. The Public Works Department line isn't even on the same system right now because their part of the system completely went down. And so it's on the numbers on the website, but they had to put a new main number for Public Works, and so the whole thing has just been a mess. But that's also something that's supposed to get resolved this year. So I'm really hopeful that that'll make it better.
And people can go to spcity.org and got phone numbers, and they're going to be the correct phone numbers now for the different departments and things like that. And plus, maybe get you directly dialed in. So if you call City Hall and you just have to start from scratch, you're going to be scratching a long time because it can be very frustrating, you know. But I know they're trying to fix it, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Now, also we have let's see. Oh, downtown. I guess you had a presentation last night from a consulting firm that was talking about enhancements to the downtown.
Yeah, so we're working with our RM design group on helping us figure out what are some things that we can do to improve downtown. There's some larger ticket items that are on our list that weren't in the first list of things they talked about last night. So the items last night were the less expensive projects, some potential upgrades to crosswalks and aesthetic things, benches, those kinds of things. And then we're still working on trying to figure out how to fund fixing the parking lots and getting better lighting in the parking lots. Those are a little bit bigger projects that'll cost more money, but know that we are working on that too. I know that there have been times that I went, it's after dark, I'm not going to park in the parking lot. And if I've thought that, I'm sure that others have too.
Sure.
So we're trying to figure out how to make those spaces more welcoming and inviting at night as well as during the day.
Because, you know, the city, I don't think it's a matter of the city neglecting other areas, but it's just that, you know, a lot of towns have a main street, and that's where they feel that they get the biggest draw from like visitors or tourists and things like that. And so you want your downtown to give a great impression of the city overall. And but you know, it's such a great city, you know, and our downtown is fabulous. But it does need some enhancements and some help, and I think that's great. And I know that they've got the P-bid now, and those people have been very active. So there's a lot of effort going into the downtown. But not to the neglect of anyone else, I'm assuming.
No.
Sure, that's great. And
well,
give us some examples. Like you said, they were talking about lighting and the and things like that. But they're looking at the lower because lights make even all the party lights or whatever you want to call them downtown look so nice. The tree lights and things like that. And it's just those little touches sometimes that just. I know they're not little, but but they do really make such a difference.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There were proposals that included, like I said, the crosswalks, some potential locations for bench seating around some of the trees. One of the not as cheap items, but was on the list, was some sort of a gateway. There off of 10th Street. I still wish we could have a gateway at the bottom of 10th Street when people first get off the freeway, but they keep telling me that that's a really expensive project.
Well, not like that. I think Caltrans doesn't want it either. That's what
I'm sure. But I really wish there was some big something when people first got off the freeway, but
absolutely we should. I mean, I've talked to more people that say if it weren't for the fact that they looked left or looked right or wherever as they were going across Main Street, they never would have pulled over to look at the town. And if they're intent on just driving through.
I've talked to friends who didn't know where Santa Paula was, but had driven past it to get to Ojai.
Oh, sure. Sure.
So just the more that we can do to make it obvious that you're driving through a town, you would think it would be obvious, but when people are going for a destination, then sometimes you don't pay attention to where you are. So the more that we can,
would be wonderful, and maybe they can beat Caltrans at their own trick and have some sort of things on each side of 10th Street. Who knows? But
we've also talked about trying to improve the signage around downtown. They call it Wayfinding Signage. so that it's easier when you drive past that you see signs saying, "Oh, downtown's this way," or these amenities are the other direction, or whatever. But so that as people if they do get into town, then they actually see where some of the various things are.
That's a great idea too. Now, what are some of the plans? What would you like to see happen this year while you're the mayor? Or do you have any particular projects or programs you're going to really push? Or of course, it's a joint agreement type of a thing with the majority of the council. But is there anything in particular that you're particularly interested in?
I mean, I'm definitely interested in the things we've talked about. One of the things that we talked about last night that we didn't talk about right now is looking to see if there are some energy efficiency upgrades that we can do, and part of that will depend on funding and whether or not there's funding outside of the city budget to do them, what kinds of things we can do not too expensive. One of the things that we're looking at are some electric vehicle chargers. There's some pretty good incentives out there right now for those. And so we're looking to see if that's something that we can add. I know that there's some other private entities that are looking at adding some too, because going forward, it's going to be really important if we want people to come and visit and spend their money in town. They're going to need to be able to charge so that they can get back home.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very true. And we don't have a charging station out here, do we?
Not currently that I know of. So I know that was one of the things on the energy efficiency plan. And then some of the other items we'll have to see how the funding comes together. That's something that'll be coming back to the council. So there'll be some more discussion in the future on that. Our All Children Thrive, we call it ACT group, got funding. So the funding is going through a nonprofit, but then it gets spent by our local ACT chapter. And they just found out that it looks like they're going to be funded for a second year. So that's I think $100,000 grant that they'll have for that program, and so that's really exciting.
What is the program?
So there's last year we had about 3 months where we got to have the program implemented, and there were 16 to 18 youth that were participating, and it's an opportunity for them to work on their advocacy. So they came and they gave a presentation to the council at the end of last year. I believe it was in December. And their proposal was that they're going to be replacing what used to be our youth advisory council.
Okay, that's
right. Yeah, because the youth advisory council, because the council appointed them, had to be under the Brown Act. So there were a lot of long story short, and that means there were a lot of rules that they had to follow. If they wanted to have a town hall meeting, they had to, appoint a committee of 2 members who could plan things and take it back to the council. And it was just,
and then they had to go ahead and have all the public notices, and
it was making it really challenging for them. The youth that we had that participated in that did a great job. And it was really challenging for them to really do what they wanted to do. And so the proposal is that this group will become the new youth advisory group.
Okay, good.
And like I said, there's 16 or 18 of them now. They're going to be working with the Parks and Rec Department in the reopening of the teen center. So they're really going to be giving input to staff around that. Their things that they're excited about, ways that they can do programming better, talking about transportation and if there's ways to help get youth to the center. But that's going to be their headquarters starting this year, is that building. And then they'll have meetings in different places, but the idea is that that'll be sort of their space. And they'll get a chance to talk about what are the things in the community that they're concerned about, and put together some ideas and proposals. Like for when they came, they mentioned that they're going to be looking at issues related to the parks and some other things, and making some recommendations as the youth advisory on ways that the city can improve the parks and stuff. So
now, when you say youth, what age group? Excuse me, I've got to shift around here a little bit. What age group are you speaking of?
Middle school and high school.
Okay.
And so there's a good number of them that are middle school, which means that they'll be around for a while. And so that's really exciting.
That's wonderful. Well, and of course with COVID, COVID did so much damage and, so many ways that, I mean, other than actual illness and deaths and all that horrible stuff, but it disrupted so much and took away momentum on many things. But I'm glad to see that they're up and running, because they did have some great kids before, and I'm particularly happy about the teen center, because I think we're pretty much in the anniversary period of when the teen center first opened.
Yeah, so it will be very exciting to see that back open. The last couple of years made that challenging, but that will be reopening this year, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Staff's working really hard to get that back open.
Now, what do you do as the mayor? Let's explain, because people sometimes don't understand that the mayor is a revolving type of a position, but but it has a lot of responsibility as far as representing the city. Let people know, what do you do as the mayor?
It's not as much as people would think, and it is more of a responsibility. There's more responsibility, but not necessarily more power. So, you run the meetings. That's one of the big responsibilities of the mayor, making sure that everyone has the chance to ask their questions, share their opinions, that the public has a chance to participate in the meetings, and really creates the space for that conversation to happen. And then also represents the city at meetings, ribbon cuttings, those kinds of things, the ceremonial aspects of being mayor. And you do get more phone calls and emails and that kind of thing as mayor than you do on some of the other, when you're in the other seats. But when it comes to an actual meeting, you're still one vote of 5.
Yeah, very well put. Very well put. Talking for hours, which I haven't. Anything else on your mind you'd like to bring up, or is there something I should have asked you and I didn't, or do you have some secret you'd like to tell us? I think just that there, in case folks aren't aware, there's a lot of collaborative efforts happening in town right now. There's a group that's working on bringing early childhood education. So that would be preschool age education to all of the kids in Santa Paula that are interested in participating. And there is going to be funding coming down from the state for that in the future. So that's something that is being worked on. So hopefully we will see the day in the not too far future when any 3, 4, I don't know how early it'll start, but at least 3 and 4-year-olds that want to start school, or their parents want to put them in school. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. And then the Social Services Coalition continues to meet to figure out how to better bring services to the residents of Santa Paula. So those are 2 collaborative efforts that are happening. There's many more, but those are just 2 of the things that are going on that people may or may not know about. And so you can watch for more information coming from those groups and their efforts. And actually, the Social Services Coalition does have a website now. Oh,
so,
okay, wonderful. Okay, we'll have to make sure to let the paper know, and we'll be sure to run something for them that people can, do us free and make sure they have that contact information for all those organizations. Okay, well, listen, we certainly appreciate you coming by today, and especially since it's your husband's birthday, we'll throw a little hey you out there to Daniel Sandoval, Dr. Dan, who's on the school board. So that's great. Two politicians in the family. I don't know about that. Seems to be working very well. I appreciate it.
Keeps us busy.
Keeps you busy. I always enjoy speaking with you, or speaking with you, I should say. And good luck as mayor. I know you'll do a good job, and we want to have you back again soon.
All right. Thanks. Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Once again, I'm Peggy Kelly with Mighty Santa Paula Times. This is Good Morning Santa Paula. You can see this on cable television channel 10. You can also see it on kadytv.com and on YouTube. And if you do watch YouTube, be sure to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps make us easier to be